Hey everyone, welcome to the Hey Hannah podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Maya Fields, but to my friends and those who know me well, I'm just Maya. I'm a higher education administrator, a mother, and a wife of 14 amazing years. But above all, I'm a Christ follower. This podcast is a special platform created to honor the memory of my beloved daughter, Hannah. It's here that I have the chance to have the conversations that I never got to have with her, to share the wisdom and love I wish I could have passed on. It's a reminder to cherish the precious moments we're given and a testament to the power of healing, hope, and personal growth. If you're someone who's seeking personal growth, inspiration, and practical advice to build a solid foundation for a successful and fulfilling life, this is a place for you. Join me as we honor Hannah's memory together. Laugh, cry, and learn. Get ready for a podcast that is so much more than you could ever imagine. The Hey Hannah podcast, healing hearts, one conversation at a time. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Hey Hannah podcast. So glad that you all are still continuing to tune in. I so appreciate you. I am your host, Dr. Maya, and I hope that you all have been having a good week. Before we jump into our topic, I wanted to share with you all that recently I had an opportunity to speak at my church for a women's night. And as a result of that particular opportunity, I was offered another opportunity to write a piece for a blog. And so that's what I wanted to share with you. I'm going to put the link in the comments. But the blog is called Abiding Christians. It's full of all types of Christian content. So I really encourage you to visit the site and be encouraged by the information that's shared there. But I also want to share the link to the article that I wrote for the blog, and it is about identity. My talk that I did for the church was all about identity. I wish I had recordings so I could share it with you, but I don't. But I do have the blog piece that I wrote, again, continuing that conversation on identity. So I'm going to link that in the comments for you. So that way, hopefully you can take a look at the blog piece and also continue to stay plugged into that blog and get some other, good information from the notes and articles that are shared there frequently. So I did just want to plug that before we get started. So diving into our topic, a very relevant topic, especially in our modern environment. Because post-COVID, everything we have the convenience of everything being virtual, but on the other hand, it also has created a world that can be somewhat isolating. So we're talking about overcoming isolation and building faith communities in a digital space, which can be a little challenging sometimes. Isolation is a significant challenge for many people, especially in a world where digital interactions often replace face-to-face communication. It is not uncommon for many of your meetings to take place in a virtual space. Even these days, Bible studies, family meetups, it's very common for a lot of those things to take place in a virtual setting. And a lot of us work in a virtual setting. So, things have changed to where you have to interact face to face. So we have to be really intentional about those connections. But today, we are going to explore how to foster some meaningful connections and build those communities through faith-based. So isolation can be a silent struggle. So if you feel like you have a bit of the in-home blues sometimes, don't feel like it's just you. It's something that is very common, especially with so many things being indoors or in digital spaces. But it can affect our mental health. It can affect relationships and just our overall well-being. And with the rise of digital communication, many of us can find ourselves more connected, yet we're feeling more alone because we have access to so many forms of communication right at our fingertips. But again, it's in the digital space. It's not that actual face-to-face connection, which can still leave us feeling like there's a gap or a void of some sort. The constant push towards self-sufficiency and independence can really make us feel like we don't need anything or need anyone else. It's very much a part of our culture, do it yourself. All I need is me, this type of, self-sufficiency and not having any dependence on anyone else. But the truth is, we all need each other to thrive. And even though culture may say one thing, I really it's really discouraging to see when people buy into that narrative of they can be all things to every single aspect of our life because we were created to be in relationship. If you are a Christ follower, our faith is built on relationship. God designed us to live in a community, to support, to encourage, and uplift one another. The Bible talks about we will overcome by the word of our testimony. The testimony comes from another individual, that's uplifting you, that's helping you to overcome the brokenness of the world. So relationship is really important. Building relationships are vital, and it's okay to admit that we can't do it all alone. Um, but we do have to intentionally push against that narrative that we don't need anyone. It's perfectly okay to lean on the help of our community. And remember that God will send us all we need to sustain us. So even if you feel like I'm in a place and I just don't know if I can build community or I can find community, that is something you can absolutely go to God about. And I believe He will send, even if it's just that one support person for you, enough to carry you through. So building a community, it doesn't have to be daunting because that can seem like, oh, that's a big task and I'm already busy. I don't have time. I get it. We're all busy. But start small. Start small, but be intentional with your interaction. So just a few tips to help you get started. The first thing I would say is be intentional about putting yourself out there. Don't be afraid to start conversations, even if you feel like you're the person that's more reserved. Sometimes you're going to have to push yourself out of your comfort zone if you really want to see some progress in some areas. Growth happens a lot of times we are not comfortable. So keep that in mind. While we do want to relax, we want to sit in our comfortable place, we do also want to make sure that we're growing. So push yourself. Don't be afraid start conversations. That can take place online. That's one of the beautiful things about digital spaces is you can connect with people online, whether it's in Facebook groups or Instagram or TikTok, whatever it is. But connect with people online or in person and take the initiative to reach out to other people. Sometimes, we can expect, oh, well, this person will reach out to us if they want to do this, or thinking that other people may have us on their list of things to do. But just like you have a ton of things going on, other people do too. So if you have time, if you have space, make the initiative and reach out to someone else and set up a coffee meeting or a lunch meeting, whatever it is. But go ahead and make that initiative to form those relationships. It can be as simple as commenting on a social media post or striking up a conversation with someone at church or a local event. But the main thing is you want to make sure you're pushing yourself to really form those connections. The second thing I would say is engage online. Use social media. Use it as an online platform to connect with like-minded individuals. There's a ton of groups on Facebook. Join faith-based groups. There's mom groups, all kinds of groups. Participate in online Bible studies, or follow inspirational faith leaders who encourage community building. There's a lot out there in the digital space. Now, of course, just as that warning, make sure that you're digging into the areas that you're joining in. There's authenticity there and transparency there. But there is, the good thing about being in the digital space is we have access to such a larger landfill, so to speak, right at our fingertips. So with you having access to so much information, dig through that to find your people, to find your group or your community and help you build that. Another thing I would say is we are it's almost summertime. We're getting really close. The kids are about to be out of school. If you have children, they are probably looking forward to camps and all that good stuff. If you have children, summer is a great time to connect with other parents. Make small talk with other parents at your child's summer camp or activities when, the coming and the going. You typically get in there a little early, you're waiting for the drop off, or you're waiting for your kids at pickup. Make small talk. I am not a huge small talk fan. So if you are a bit reserved, I feel you here. But again, it's about not hanging out in our comfort zone, but pushing ourselves and being intentional with making these connections because it's important. At these particular events, you already have a common interest. Your children are in the same activities. That's a great conversation starter. So as I said, I'm not a huge small talk fan, so what I did do is I outlined a few questions that you can just keep in your back pocket if this is you. So one of them is you could say, which activity is your child most excited about this summer? That's something to get conversation going. Or how long has your child been attending this camp? Maybe they've been coming a few years and you can find out some other camps that are coming up. Or do you have any tips for making the most out of these summer programs? Those are good starting points. Most parents are exhausted. The summer is jammed with things. There is no school, especially if they're working outside of the home. Many of them are feeling the same things that you are feeling. So these are just some questions you can throw out there and get the conversation going. I'll also say don't be discouraged by, well, I don't want to bother anyone because they're looking at their cell phone. Let me tell you, most of the time, people are just looking at their cell phone, wasting time. It's not like they are writing out the Declaration of Independence. They're just wasting time, waiting to pick up their children. So a lot of times it's a welcome distraction. But there you go. You already have 3 small talk questions in your back pocket to get that conversation started. Now, there are a ton of benefits to connections and being intentional about those friendships. Connecting with others and forming those friendships, again, a ton of benefits for your mental health and your overall well being. Just a few of them. The first one is emotional support. Friends do provide a support system during tough times, and they offer comfort and understanding. One thing we can guarantee is life is going to bring some tough times. That's just unfortunately a piece of us living in a broken world. It was not intended to be this way, but this is the way it is. This is what we have. But one of the tools that God has given us is our friends, our ability to build a support system. Um, so friends are able to do that for you. That's some emotional support is so needed. There was a study published, the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships, and it found that people with strong social support are 50% more likely to have a greater psychological resilience, or they're just better equipped to really bounce back or handle stress and emotional challenges. Again, we know these things are coming. To say like, "Oh, I'm on a duck and dodge," all the, stress and emotional challenges, that's just unrealistic. It's coming. So if you know these types of things are coming, it's just a part of life. The best thing that you can do is prepare and equip yourself so you, can be a part of the bounce back crew. When things come, you can go through them. You'll have sad times, but that emotional support is going to be there to help you bounce back and keep moving forward. Another benefit of those strong connections in friendship, and I touched on this a couple of times, is the mental health benefit. This is such a huge benefit. Social interactions, they can really reduce the feelings of depression and anxiety. I'm sure you have heard, I hear all the time, so many people are constantly dealing with depression, anxiety, and there's a ton of reasons behind that. But a part of that is not feeling connected, not feeling seen, not feeling like they have a place that they belong. And this is where your friendships and support system come into place and how they really can be helpful for your mental health, really just promoting a more positive outlook on life. Um, According to the American Psychological Association, Social connections can lower your anxiety and depression. They can help regulate some of these emotions and they can lead to higher self esteem and empathy. Additionally, having close friends can also decrease the risk of depression by 25%. So, hopefully, this helps to kind of drive home. Like, I'm not just saying like friends are good for your mental health, they are. But here's some statistics behind that. They help you building those support systems, those networks of friends. They help you feel like you have a place of belonging. When you have those connections, it makes you feel seen, makes you feel heard, and there's all types of benefits. The last thing I'll say is being intentional about these connections really helps with your personal growth. Engaging with other people can really help you grow as a person. People's perspective is often shaped by their life experiences. I feel like I've said that before. I'm going to say it again. Your perspective is shaped by your life experiences, which means you don't have all the experiences. So when you connect with someone else and they bring their life experiences to the conversation, you are learning a new perspective. You're learning to see things through someone else's lens. Our way, I know we hate to admit this, our way is not the only way. Our way is not always the right way. And it's good to hear and see things from other people's perspective. It also helps you develop new skills. So there's a ton of goodness there, especially when we're talking about personal growth. So make sure that you're intentional with that, especially building those relationships. So I want to encourage you to make time for building connections. Don't lean on the excuses that you don't have time. As I said, I completely get it. Life is busy, but this is important and you need to make time to do this. Start today. Reach out to someone that you know, maybe that you like to connect with more, join some online groups. You can do that today. Simply strike up a conversation with another parent while you're waiting around. We've all been in a pickup line or something waiting for our kids. If you are a parent and you see some other parents hanging out there, strike up a conversation with them. Remember, it's through these connections that we're really going to be able to grow and to thrive. So, a few resources I want to share with you before we close out. Some faith based online communities. There are some platforms you can join, like Faith Life is one of them. Also, if you are connected to a local church, look online. Your church typically has several online resources and communities that you can join, from online Bible studies to online connection groups. These are all things that you can plug into. Parenting groups. Look for local or online parenting groups where you can connect with others who share your same interests. And the last thing I'll say is books and podcasts. You're already listening to a podcast right now, so plug into Hey Hannah Podcast. I don't know if you knew, but if you listen to us on Spotify, typically there are connection questions. You can engage with individuals in there. We have the Hey Hannah Podcast page on LinkedIn is our newest platform, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. Connect with other listeners there in the comments. You're already connecting with people who are like minded and you have something in common. You both already listen to the podcast. And there's also a book that I'll recommend, The Art of Neighboring. Check that out if you just want to read a little bit more about building these personal connections and the benefits and some more tips. So, thank you for joining me today. Again, we are on the Hey Hannah podcast. Let's continue to build our faith communities. Let's continue to support one another and overcome isolation together. The thing is, we do have to be intentional about that. Remember that God has equipped us with everything we need to build and sustain our communities. So, if you've enjoyed today's episode, please share it with your friends and your family. Don't forget to subscribe to the Hey Hannah podcast for more episodes focused on faith, loss, parenting, education, all of the things. Again, thank you so much for joining us. Stay encouraged, keep reaching out, and until next time, everybody, take care. Then that's it. I'm out of here. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Hey Hannah podcast. We hope that you found inspiration, insight, and encouragement in our conversation today. If you enjoyed this episode and want to stay connected with us, be sure to like, subscribe, and review the Hey Hannah podcast. Your feedback helps us reach more people and spread our message of love and wisdom. You can also follow us on social media at Hey Hannah Podcast. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok to stay updated on all the latest episodes, behind-the-scenes exclusives, and engaging content. And for those of you who prefer the visual experience, catch the video versions of our podcast on our YouTube channel. Just search Hey Hannah Podcast and hit that subscribe button to never miss an episode. For even more Hey Hannah goodness, visit our website at www.heyhannahpodcast.com. There you'll find updates, bonus content, and join a community that embraces you with open arms. Your continued support truly means the world to us. Together, let's spread love, share wisdom, and honor every precious moment. Because here at Hey Hannah, we believe that life is meant to be lived well. Remember, a new episode of the Hey Hannah podcast is released every Wednesday, so mark your calendars and be sure to tune in. Thank you again for being a part of Hannah's Hive. Until next time, take care.
Entertainment. Entertainment.